It's Wednesday, May 17, 2023. I'm Todd Dunn. It's just a little bit afternoon, and I'm getting ready to go up onto my Allied Princess 36 Seaquestor. What am I going to do today? I'm going to climb up this ladder. That's going to be a test of my new knee. And I'm going to take this bucket that's got a battery charger in it up. And back at the back, I don't think you can see it because of the light, I've got a few gallons of water I'm going to haul up there. I'm going to rig up the engine so that it draws cooling water from this bucket. And then I'm going to start the engine. This is a sort of annual thing. I do this every year just to make sure that the engine will fire up when we launch the boat. It's kind of embarrassing to put the boat in the water and have the engine not start. So we'll be all set to fire the engine up and get it going. I'm going to put the battery charger on the batteries while I'm setting up, and hopefully everything will go fine. Before I go up there to start the engine, I will check all the stands to make sure they're good and tight, because starting a diesel engine after it's been sitting for 7 months does vibrate the boat a little, and the last thing I want is for it to fall over. So we'll tighten up the stands and make sure everything's ready to go, and then we'll be ready. So the first time I go up the ladder onto the boat, I'm just going to take the battery charger and the bucket up, and then back aft I'm going to lower a line over the side to haul up my container of water. So I'll have to come down, tie it off, and then go back up to pull it up. And once that's done, put the water in the bucket and fire the engine up. So, time to climb the ladder. Well, I'm at the top of the ladder. Set my bucket and battery charger there. And right here, if it focuses, I have tied the ladder off to a stanchion base so that it can't go anywhere. It's always the first thing I do when I go up a ladder onto the boat. Now I just have to climb up and get over the lifeline. Normally that's real easy, but I don't know how my new knee is going to operate for swinging over that, so we'll find out. Time to get up there. Okay, there's the view back down the ladder. It was pretty easy to get over the lifelines. Went over left leg first, then right leg. It was no problem. And I had both the stanchion and the ladder to hang on to. So now I'm going to head back, drop the line over the side to pull my water up, which is the only hard part of this. I've got about 4 gallons, so that's 32 pounds of water to haul up here. And it feels much better walking up here with the lifelines up than with them down. Last time I came up, the small boats were still wedged in under the bow and I couldn't come up forward. So I disconnected this lifeline back here and came in back aft over the cockpit coaming. Not as great a footing back there. It was much more difficult. So, see if I can step in here. This is one of the tricks, is going to be stepping in over the coaming. So, left foot, right foot. I made it. Okay, I'm going to run a line down. You see I got a bunch of them, and we'll get ready to haul that water up. Now there's the view into the boat. I've been in there one other time since the knee surgery, and the companionway ladder here, right there, is quite steep, but it wasn't bad going up or down. So, time to get down in there and get set up. I'm going to put the battery charger on the batteries. Well, apparently the batteries came through the winter pretty well. The charger's already gone into absorption mode and it's starting to back the current off. So it's only been on there about 15 minutes. So that's pretty good. Batteries held up very well this winter. Down here we have a bucket of water with the intake for the engine in there. And I just have a couple more things to check. I'm going to leave the battery charger on for another minute or two before I fire up the engine. Well, I'm all set to fire up the engine. I just checked the flares, and they're good through November of this year. So we don't have to buy any new flares for this year. And the other things I took a look at are all fine too. So the engine hopefully is going to fire right up. Usually just takes 2 or 3 cranks and then it goes. Maybe 4 would be about the most. And hopefully it will go right away. It is currently 148, and right now there's the output from my battery charger. It's in absorption mode. You can see the batteries have already reached 14.5 volts and it has dropped the current from 15 down to 12.4. That's going to go back up as soon as I start the engine. Starting the engine is pretty simple. This is the engine panel down here. So all I have to do is turn the key, and that is an alarm. And what I'm going to do now is preheat, which is done by pushing this button for about 20 seconds, and then we'll push this button to start it. Now, the way this engine panel is set up, I have to wait for the oil pressure to come up before I release the preheat button, or it will simply shut the engine down again. So I'll be watching the oil pressure gauge, and then I'll release the preheat button. And basically, I got about 2 gallons of water in a bucket, and we're going to run it until I use up the water. Okay, time to start the engine. I am going to shut the camera off while I do it because I need both hands to start the engine because of the various things I have to handle. So it's pretty straightforward, and as soon as I get it running, I will come back. Well, it fired right up, and I guess I'm probably just about out of water. It's been running for maybe 15 seconds now. I got a little bit left, and so I'm happy that when we get it in the water, it's going to start right up. So I'm just going to shut it down, which on this engine is done by turning the key. That's that. She's shut down. Well, I'm happy with that. The engine fired right up, didn't even crank twice. And of course, I am cranking it over, connected to 500 amp hours of batteries that have something like 4,200 cold cranking amps. So plenty of oomph to crank over this 2-liter Westerbeek 46 diesel engine. And everything seemed to be running fine. So that's this test finished. Now I just have to get the intake water hose connected back up to the Seaquestor and make sure all the hose clamps are tight, and we'll be ready to launch the boat, which is scheduled for Tuesday the 23rd, and we're going to load the boat, I think, at 10:30 in the morning. I'm not going to be doing as much as I usually do to help with getting the boat ready to launch, because I still can't kneel very easily. I mean, I can do it, but it's extremely uncomfortable, and I need a big stack of pillows, which is not going to be something I'll have on deck while we're stepping the masts. So, you know, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Anyway, we'll get the engine, get the mast stepped, put the boat in the water, fire up the engines, and then I will head over to the marina. I have a couple things left to do yet. I have to go over to the marina and get my fenders attached to the finger pier so I don't have to use fenders hanging from the boat. And that shouldn't be too hard. I don't think I can do it because it requires kneeling on the finger pier, which is concrete. So I'm gonna try and con one of the marina staff into doing it for a little tip. So That's going to be painful. I don't like paying anything extra if I can help it, but I simply cannot kneel on that finger pier for the amount of time required to attach those fenders to it. So anyway, we're ready to go with that, and it's just a little tidying up here. Make sure everything is ready, and we will be ready to put the boat in the water in 6 days. As a matter of fact, 6 days from right now, I should be at the Great Harbor Marina in Southwest Harbor. As of today, the weather for Tuesday looks pretty good. Moderate south winds, 10 knots or less, which is great. That's going to blow me onto the finger pier when I get there. And everything looks fantastic. So it shouldn't be rough, should be no problem launching the boat, and should be no problem getting into the slip, I hope. The only issue I might have is that it is going to be difficult for me to get on and off the boat quickly, so I am going to have to call the marina and get them to come out and have somebody there to take my lines and help me get the boat tied up, simply because, you know, with this replacement knee, I am simply not agile enough to get on and off the boat quickly, and there's just no way I'm going to try to jump off the boat. If I can't step off of it, I'm not getting off. So that's what's up right now. I'm just going to go get things tidied up, and then we'll come back and end this video. Well, I fired up the chart plotter. It worked. I checked the flares. As I said earlier, they're good to November of this year. And the only thing I didn't do that needs to happen fairly soon after the boat goes in the water is to connect the solar panels. It's not a big deal. I just have to sort of slither into the quarter berth with a tiny little screwdriver and hook them up. I really should put a circuit breaker in there so I can just throw the circuit breaker to disconnect them. But haven't done that yet. That will maybe be a project for this summer. And the only problem with slithering into the quarter berth is I do have to get down on my knee to do it. So my knee is a little tight today. I walked a bit over a mile yesterday, and I'm paying the price today, so I think I'm not going to do that. I will come on the boat at least one more time. I'll put the battery charger on again, leave it on for an hour or two, and then I will close everything up. Oh, I did one other thing. I put the mooring lines on, bow, stern, and spring. So basically, when I come in, there'll be something for the dock crew to grab a hold of. And it was a bit of a scramble for me to get up to the gate to get off. I can do it. And part of the reason for coming up here today was to see just how well I could maneuver around on deck. And I can tell you that even now, where there isn't really much to hang on to, I'm not having any trouble getting in and out of the cockpit. You know, standing up from the cockpit. Well, I'm sitting on a cockpit seat now. Just scoot forward a little and up I go. Now I'm standing in a cockpit. There's the wheel. And if I want to go forward, all I have to do is step up here. And once the boat is in the water, I will have the mizzen mast to hang on to, which will make a difference. And back here, I'll have the backstay to grab if I want. Just step over the cockpit coaming. That's the only tricky part if my knee isn't bending very well. And here I am, ready to get off the boat. If I need to go forward, I can just walk forward. See, the bow line is up there, ready to go. I put the registration stickers on for this year. Actually, the excise tax stickers. And she's all set, ready to go in the water for the 2023 season. So that's it for today. I'm going to climb down the ladder one last time. I did check, and when I went down the ladder to tie my water jug to the rope I used to haul it up, I was able to go down the ladder normally, and I came back up normally, which is a first for me on a ladder. So feeling pretty good about that. and my knee is working reasonably well. It is very tight today because it swelled up quite a bit after my walk yesterday, which I did in the Seawall Campground at Acadia National Park. So anyway, I'm gonna call this little visit to the boat a day and head home. Thanks for watching.